Dude.
You like games?
All right, so Saiba,
Yeah.
how are you doing today?
You know, Joe, pretty great. Woke up to a funny call. Woke up to a funny call. Great call. But excited to be here. Excited to be with Gateway.
Absolutely. So let's work to break the tension to start it out. So this is your first year part of Gateway Esports. You're kind of building into the system in a pretty big way. It's not like you just showed up and you're like, hey, I'm just here to play a video game. You've really been kind of doing your best to make an impact. And to me, I find there to be a lot of validation behind that, because in the early stages of a program like this, because we're still very, very new, which most people don't realize, we were only first kind of really created back in 2019. We first got our arena in 2022, and now it's only 2025. And how much of that was just COVID years? You know, how much of that was just us being indoors and not really being able to kind of find ourselves within it all? So I kind of find that in these last few years have been a lot of, I'd say, the major growth for a lot of people, I would say around your age, from like that, like 18 to kind of like 25-year-old range, where you guys are really starting to find yourselves, because you were kind of hidden for a while. You were putting behind a veil a little bit with COVID. So now that you're starting to step out in the world, you're kind of starting to find your grounding. What are some of the things that you're kind of looking forward to doing, especially here in esports at Gateway?
I mean, you know, the people are great, and it's more of connecting with people, getting those connections for later down the line. It's great to learn more experiences and kind of connect with people with different backgrounds and different stories. And it's great to see other people's point of view of the world. And I felt esports was really good about that, because you know, we have multiple different people who play, you know, multiple different games, and they all have those different backgrounds. And I think just the connections is like a really big thing, because you know, being stuck inside with COVID for so many, you know, couple of years and not being able to connect with people, I think getting back out and doing that and going out to events with people is a great way to reconnect with kind of like the world around you, and reconnecting with people in person instead of, you know, on call or virtually. And I think that was a big thing that COVID had on a lot of people, was not being able to leave the house. And then they kind of got stuck in that situation where once COVID was over, they still didn't feel like leaving the house, because they got so used to it with not being able to leave. So I think getting out there and doing those conversations with people and connecting with people in face-to-face is a great way to kind of get back. And I think that was one of my main reasons of joining esports, was getting those connections again.
Absolutely. And yeah, like networking is always going to be a very big, important thing in life. Just getting out there, meeting people, talking to them, getting different perspectives is really important. You talked about, you know, kind of, like you say, being stuck inside, not really being able to get that opportunity to get out there. And now that, like I say, you are out here now, I mean, you've been out to Party on the Pavement with us already. You're now out here at the Inclusive Bean with us today. And we're continuing to build more on that presence of getting out, meeting people. And I know one big thing for you is you joined the Marvel Rivals team this year, which was one of our newest games that we've added to our lineup. We added that. And for me, I mean, I know a good fair amount about the game of Marvel Rivals, but there's a lot that I don't know. A lot of it is cross comparisons to Overwatch. And being able to take a lot of what I've seen there and then kind of bring it over. I did start to teach it a little bit last year for my esports program, so don't be surprised if I come tapping on your shoulder or any of the other guys' shoulders, or, you know, Haley or Val or any of them, to kind of get more perspective on the game as well, because to me, I think it's really important to pick games that obviously you guys like and you enjoy. For me, I focus on games like Rocket League, Overwatch, Super Smash Brothers, Valorant, but Marvel Rivals is one that I'm starting to kind of throw more in the ring a little bit more. Obviously, it came out last year, but I've been on it like a Hawkeye, because, and I say that haha, I say that that way and figuratively, because the reality of it is the game hasn't quite found, I'd say, its stride. I think that everybody's still trying to figure out how they want the game to be played. Obviously, like a game like Overwatch in its early stages, it was 2-2-2. You had 2 tank, 2 damage, 2 support. So you were building on that presence of everybody kind of had their select roles. Now you go and it's like, this team has 5 tanks and 1 healer. It's like, what's going on? So, and I lie, because obviously it's most like you have like 5 million DPSs and like a few tanks and a couple healers, and it's generally like one person who plays Jeff. But what I'm trying to get at, though, is that it's a game that, for me, the reason why I've struggled with it, I guess, a little bit, is because I do feel like there's a little bit of a crutch on that game. I feel like a perspective point of like, hey, I like superheroes, can kind of put you in a wavelength of like, if I like this person, I'm going to try them out, but that might not be your play style. That might not be what you really know how to do when you do play these styles of games. And then you see people kind of getting stuck in ranks and stuff like that. So I guess where I'm trying to go with this is, how do you think we can help some of our students as they're building into these games kind of break through that barrier and understand the mentality of diversity, learning different roles, learning different characters, and just kind of building more on that presence of team mentality?
Yeah, so what I think is understanding a player's play style and how they play, and then showing them certain characters and opening up to different play styles, seeing how they could react and with their gameplay and experiencing with their game styles, I think is a great way to open up to more characters. So like a great example, character in Marvel Rivals, Magic. Personally, one of my favorites. Didn't know she was a Marvel character until I started playing Marvel Rivals. But it kind of opened me up to experiencing more on that play style, and then experiencing more on learning about that character, and maybe getting more liking to said character. And I think that's a great way, is exploring people's play style and maybe showing them a character that they've never heard of before. And then if it fits to their play style and they really like it, then maybe they'd start opening up to that character in general of the Marvel universe and starting to like that character more. And I think when you go into Marvel Rivals, like my personal favorite character is Spider-Man. When I went into Marvel Rivals, I'm like, oh, they got Spider-Man. Great, I'll play him. Did not do a great job. Could personally say that myself. But now that I've played the game more and have experienced with my playstyle,
From different perspectives.
exactly. And so from the times of playing the game and from months of practice, I've started to now go back to Spider-Man and start learning him, and I feel like I've done a lot better than I did at the start, because he was a completely different play style than I've ever played before. He's more of dive, and I used to sit in backline and just shoot, do whatever I want. But now I'm opening up to that dive side of things, and I think it's a great way to open up more character selection especially for games, because during game week, maybe we need that certain play style, like that dive select. So I think it's a great way to start learning different play styles and maybe opening up to those characters that you like, to learning them so you have an idea of multiple different play styles. So I think that's a great way when someone comes to Marvel Rivals, is to opening up to their favorite character. If they don't think they like it, you explore their play style, and then maybe they'll start accessing different characters that kind of relate to that play style of their favorite character, and then they'll start learning it.
So you used the word playstyle a few times, so I want to kind of clue in on that. And you also used the word dive.
Yeah.
So those are very key specific terms that you're using. So when you're talking about playstyles and you're talking about this dive, playstyle, what are some of the different types of playstyles that you can kind of fall into that maybe people aren't realizing, that have different perspectives as you're playing them?
Yeah, so I'll follow along with the whole dive category. Is you want to be in the enemy team's back line, focusing those healers or the small characters, and then once you get those, then the rest of your team can maybe focus on tanks or people with that a lot of HP. There's also the mid-range playstyle where you're kind of in the middle, to where you're close enough to maybe melee or
More like a brawl style.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's the backline, which is typically healers or maybe like a tank that has like that long range ability, so they can hit people from afar.
So they'd be called a poke character.
Yeah, because you have your healers in the back with maybe one tank to protect those healers in case of said dive comes around to get your healers, so then the rest of their team can get everyone else. Because I think the healers are a great point of a team, is to protecting everyone else, healing them so they can stay alive and keep pushing towards the enemy team. So I think a dive is a great team to kind of push towards that backline, because you have multiple dive, you could easily get that backline and those pokes a lot easier. So I think just opening up to multiple different play styles. You got your range, which is the brawl, dive, and then you got your backline. I think is exploring those three would be a great way of understanding how you play games.
Absolutely. So I guess another thing I kind of want to touch topic on. So as you're starting to build into esports here at Gateway, obviously like being a part of events, you've mentioned that networking is a big thing that you're really intrigued with wanting to do.
Yep.
I know you've already asked about opportunities of being able to run tables at events and do different things like that. So what are maybe some other key roles that you may want to see yourself step into, or even just different things that you may want to see happen within esports at Gateway here over the next maybe year or next few years as you start to build into it?
See, so what I kind of want to see is as we're starting to open up more booths, connecting with people kind of around Wisconsin and everything else, is bringing those people towards Gateway. I think is a great way to opening up Gateway esports as a whole, because we're bringing more attention to ourselves, and I think it's a great way to bring kind of, I wouldn't say business, but like a great way to open up people to games and video games itself, and having those people get the connections that they want with maybe friends or people that they can relate to when playing video games, is because I think video games was a great way to connect people together.
Absolutely.
And you know, because people have maybe different opinions on different game types that they like, and I think getting into that esports club and or team is a great way to open up yourselves to maybe people that play the same games as you and kind of like the same stuff that you like. And I know we have a lot of people who are like into anime and certain shows, and I think they can, once we bring more people in, then they can maybe go and talk to those people about maybe like certain shows and animes they like, because they're kind of linked together and they all like the same thing.
Absolutely, and then it starts to build on and build on. We've already seen some cases where we've seen some of our anime fans coming together looking to build like their own costumes, a representation of the Red Hawks. And I think that that's really cool to see it build out. So I guess kind of round this all up, I really think I got one last question to ask you before I kind of let you go on with the day.
Yeah.
Do you like games?
Oh, I love games, man. You know, now I got a question for you. Do you like games?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.